What's up guys, welcome to my channel, and in this video we're going to be talking about the reasons how I know that the sun is local. I don't think the earth is flat, I know the earth is flat. We live in an electromagnetic plane realm, a stationary enclosed system. It's super easy to tell that the sun is local and smaller than we have been told. Someone said a very interesting quote. They said that we are all taught things, but we should not be taught. A rope is tied taut to be immovable and not budge. So we are programmed, not educated. We go through our programming in the education system and we are indoctrinated. The first one is high altitude weather balloon footage. One YouTuber named Jeranism, he found a video where some university students had sent up a weather balloon and they had caught images of the alleged curve of the earth, but they were using a GoPro lens. Now, as you guys know, GoPro lenses, they curve the whole video from its entirety, so we could tell from the beginning of the footage. And there was also a rope, like a string, hanging in the frame. We could see that there was a curve from ground level. Jeranism, he put this video in a program and he actually removed the curve, and then we saw the earth, how it looked in reality, and it was quite amazing for me. That's when I started to see the truth, and I started looking at the sun and I thought, wow, it's so different how we were shown. It doesn't look like a ball of fire, it looks like a ball of light, like a electromagnetic ball of light, like a light bulb, like a pure white light. And I know it's like got a yellow hue to it, but from that close, it looked very white. It just looked a lot closer, and the horizon was very flat. I know you could say that the earth is so large that we can't detect the curve of the earth from any height, but this is like 2022, going on to 2023. We should have technology to detect the curve of the earth. This video is not really about the curve because it's undetectable, but I remember we were taught in school that we could detect the curve of the earth from ground level by watching boats go over the horizon. But now we have technology like super zoom cameras. We can see that when boats disappear, we can zoom in on them and they actually reappear. The whole boat, everything. That has something to do with our light, with how light is picked up by our eyes. Now the second thing about the sun, how we can tell, is that I was looking at time-lapse footage showing the sun moving towards the viewer. Someone had a quote saying that if a picture is worth 1,000 words, then a video is worth 1,000 pictures, and then that a time-lapse is worth 1,000 videos. Now, we don't really see the sun moving too much in our daily life because it's moving slower than we have time to even observe. We're busy, we have things to do, we're moving. So for us to sit there and watch it, it would take time. But if someone set up a camera, which there are plenty of videos out there, we can see how the sun is actually moving towards the camera in this video. We can see that from the start of the video, the sun is actually starting to be like a pinprick point of light. Starts out like a speck or smaller, and it actually gets larger towards the day as it moves towards the camera. Now, there's also another video clip here. In this one clip, we see that when the viewer, he goes on a mountain, we can see that from the ground level to the mountain top, the time lapse shows that the sun is actually larger on the mountain. So how is it? Because we go higher, we actually get more of a, I suppose, a light effect. The light, I know that the light emitted from the sun, it kind of expands the sun and makes it look larger than it is. But if you look at it through a special filter, you'll see that the sun is like a ball, and like a ball of light. A lot of flat earthers have suspected that the sun is about miles across and it's about thousands of kilometers above us, but we don't know the exact dimensions of this, like the actual size of the sun exactly, and the actual height, because we don't have billions of dollars, trillions of dollars to use our own scientific endeavors, right? Scientific tests. Another obvious sign that the sun is local is sunspots under the sun on clouds. Now this is impossible. Completely impossible. Just like the sun changing size, if we go from morning to noon on ground level, or if we go from ground level to mountaintop, it's impossible, because if the sun were so far away and so large, the earth is so small that even if you took the whole earth and moved it 100,000 kilometers towards the sun, it wouldn't even make the sun even change size, because that's how large the scale we're talking about. Now here, when we see that from an airplane view, we see that the sun is above some clouds and we see a sunspot, a hot spot underneath the actual sun. This is indicative or proof that of a local sun that's actually heating up the clouds right underneath of it. Now the next one is comparative lighting. So we're looking at the sun surrounded by clouds, or even looking at it looking at the sun on a sunset, and just looking at the mountains in between. I mean, surrounding the actual, looking at the landscape surrounding the sun, and looking at the lighting. If you guys studied lighting, you guys know that light is emitted from the light source. So there's a starting point, and the light scatters from all points in a straight line. If we actually trace the actual, you can see that you can make these angles from the sun rays, and they're called crepuscular rays. And it's impossible, I'm telling you, it's impossible to make a triangular angles from the sun, lights from the sun. If it was 93 million miles away, it wouldn't make these types of light effects. It wouldn't make these types of shadows. And when we look at the clouds surrounding the sun, we can see all the clouds that are close to the sun are lit up. But the other half of it, the other side of the same cloud, is darkened. If the sun was 93 million miles away, it would light up more than this. But we see that it's actually just passing through clouds, the sun, and it's actually just right there. And again, it's impossible to get crepuscular rays to form these types of triangles, form these angles. Images here, you can clearly see that if you're comparing it from a light source, example, a lamppost on the street, and you see the sun in real life, it's doing the same thing. The sun is right there. Now here's another super easy way to tell that the sun is actually local, is that I found this one image online. It's like an impossible photo. It's showing the actual, an airplane, and it's showing that the airplane, I guess the airplane was flying underneath the sun, and someone looked up and took a photo, and it shows that the actual shadow cast by the airplane, so the sun is lighting up the airplane, and the airplane casts a shadow, and the airplane shadow is larger than the airplane. How is that possible? Like, how is it possible that from that distance, it's creating a giant, massive shadow? This is not possible, because from ground level, we can see that if we have a picture of a Boeing 77 or any airplane on the tarmac, on the airport, we can see that the sun is out. We can see it makes the shadow cast by the airplane is more or less the same size as the actual airplane. But when we see this photo, we see that the shadow is actually 3, 4, 5 times bigger than the actual airplane. Now, how is this possible? This is only possible if the sun is smaller and local, and if the airplane is actually going closer to the light source. Now, I'm going to test it in an actual test, like a scientific test, by casting shadows on the wall, and show you guys, if I hold a light source and actually hold an object to the wall and make a shadow, that if I hold that object closer to the actual light source, it's going to cast a huge shadow on the ground if the object is high up off the ground. And I'll show you that now. What's up, guys? I'm using a light from my phone. So we're gonna just use this model airplane here, and I could even just use my hand, but we're just gonna try to use this model airplane. So if the Earth is if the Earth is a ball, spherical but massive, and then the sun is super massive, like I think the last time I checked, you could fit 5,000 Earths in there. I think that was a long time ago I checked. I don't remember if that's correct or not, but the point is, it's so massive and far away. But the thing about the flat Earth and the ball Earth theory is that the math works the same thing. So whatever the size of the Earth was back in the day, thousands of years ago, that was common knowledge, above the flat Earth realm, the scientists just pushed the sun farther away and made it larger as much as until the math worked out to the same, until the shadows and all the angles and everything and the math worked out to the same. So if you look at this airplane, if it, just like in real life when we saw in the photo, if an airplane is on the tarmac, it is the same, the shadow cast by the actual airplane is the same size. Look, it makes the same size shadow. But if the sun is local over a flat plane realm, then distances going higher and lower would actually make a difference, because the sun is actually closer and smaller. About, probably we estimate 33 miles across and 3,000 to 5,000 kilometers above the Earth. I don't know exactly. Okay, I'm just throwing a number here, but that would be within the enclosed dome, right? Now, look, when the airplane lifts off and goes higher, look how large the airplane model gets. See, we go to the wall and larger. Now, if the sun was larger and further away, so I'm just going to bring this further back, but you can see that it would be brighter, so it wouldn't even matter. But then if the airplane took off, you see how small of a difference the actual shadow changed? It didn't even do much. Look, it's not as much as here, where it actually changed like 5 times bigger. Just like in the photo, which you could say I found online, and that could be fake, but there's an airport near my home, and I'm going to go replicate that in real life. Going back to the angles, the sun's angles, like the crepuscular rays, those angles, those light ray angles, it's impossible, because if the sun was massive and giant, the light rays will be going more or less perpendicular to one another. They wouldn't have these huge angular changes. They would be going more or less horizontally straight. All the light from the sun would be kind of cast more evenly on the earth. Now I'm going to show you 2 different sketches of the same landscape, and in the landscape we can see that it shows how the sun, the shadows would affect our world if it was on a ball, and if it was, like how they say, giant and far away, or how it would be if it was small and local. And we can see that if the sun was actually giant and far away, all the shadows would be more or less the same size as the actual object, no matter what time of day. They would change, they would angle differently, but more or less they wouldn't change size. But when we see the actual real life, when the sun is smaller and local and actually just moves above us, it moves in retrograde motions, in spiral-like retrograde motions above our plane, we can see that it actually stretches the actual shadows of objects in mountains as it goes further out, and it moves about in like these sweeps, these circular motions. And we can see from sunsets, all the light follows the actual sun. It doesn't set how the CGI NASA shows us from this fake ISS, International Space Station, how it would set evenly. That's a lie. Okay guys, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys can digest all that. I'm going to try to edit this down. Thank you for watching. God bless.